94th floor. She was an Amex employee who worked at Marsh McLennan. Please, somebody from any floors from 88 and up, please call our number 917-364-4906 and tell us what happened over there. And if anybody got out and if anyone made it, please call us. We're looking for her. Please, 917-364-4906. Yvonne Bonomo, she is a great girl, and we have hope we're going to find her.
Tell me what you've done. Have you searched through the city?
We were everywhere. We went to the hospital. We registered her. We've called hospitals. Please, if anyone on the 94th floor got out, please call us and let us know our parents are beside themselves at home. We're waiting to hear anything, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell me, your sister. You're looking for your sister.
My sister, Bridget Esposito. She sat right next to Yvonne Bonomo on the 94th floor at One World Trade Center. The last time I spoke to her was at 20 to 8 before the blast, just like a regular day, and I haven't heard from her since then.
And tell me what you've done to search for her?
I've been to every hospital in the city. We went to 28th and 1st Avenue yesterday and registered her. We've been on several TV channels begging people that if they see her, to find her for me. If anyone finds her, please call 718-436-9177 for Michael Esposito, or Yvette at 718-339-6380.
Ma'am, do you still have hope?
I have a lot of hope. She's also with her best friend, Ben Valentine. He sits right next to her, Bridget and Yvonne as well. So if anybody sees him, call our families. We're looking desperately for them.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, you were looking for Sal.
I'm looking for my son, Sal. He left home that morning and he hasn't called back since then. He's a cadet. He's a trained EMT, and most probably, as soon as he came into Manhattan, he just flagged someone down to go down and help the people in the World Trade Center bombing thing, just to help people take them out. He's a trained EMT. If anybody has seen him, most probably he's helping people.
So he was near the building at the time of the explosion and went in to help people?
That's what I think, because he usually comes into Manhattan like about 9:15, 9:20, and then he has to take the 6 train to go uptown. So most probably he flagged someone to go downtown to help assist in the rescue. So if anybody has seen him, if they would just have call us at 718-225-7883, even if they just seen him assisting somebody over there.
Tell me how old Sal is.
He's 23 years old. He just graduated from college and he just found a job at Rockefeller University.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, tell me who you're looking for.
I'm looking for Pablo Ortiz. He works at the World Trade Center on the 88th floor. He called his wife early in the morning on Tuesday, told the 88th floor was being evacuated. He was leaving. He left, and they never found him again. They never haven't seen him.
Right here?
Yes, gentleman right there with my mother, and we've been looking for him. And my sister's been doing all of that work, and I finally got out, and it's hard, and it's. And if anybody's seen him, just call the number one here, 1212-673-1292. Anybody.
Do you still have hope, sir?
Do I have hopes? Yes, I have hopes, and I don't know. It took me 2 days to get out of my house to do this, so it's hard. I can understand why these people are suffering and crying. It's hard. It's hard for these people. It's hard for me. I don't know. I shake.
It took you 2 days, meaning you just emotionally could not get out of your house.
I made it to my mother's house down on Lower East Side, and I just made it started walking today. My sister's been doing it for 2 days, and she's got a lot of hope, and I'm just picking up on where she left off.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, New York.
Joey, as you can tell, it is just an endless sea of people who are looking for their loved ones, who are doing anything they can to find some sign, any sign. Joey?
Elizabeth Cohen at the Armory. Elizabeth, stand by there. We see so much emotion in those people around you. It is just,
You can see the desperation, and you can hear the hope in their voices, and sometimes when they don't
putting
talk,
up their pictures.
yeah, and sometimes when they don't talk, they just stare, and you can see their faces being so empty. But this is clearly a human side to the story, Elizabeth. It was about 2.5 hours ago when we first saw your initial interview. We were quite struck by not only your interview but also the reaction, and to give the folks at home a better indication of what, quite honestly, we go through covering a story like this. We want to take you back 2.5 hours ago now.
My father knew how to operate the rig, so he brought down all the workers to inspect the building.
If you think your father might be out there somewhere, what would you want to say to him?
I want to tell him that we all miss him. His little nephew, Luke, misses him. And that we're strong. We got hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, I've been talking to these families for 2 days now, and all of these stories are very much like this. People are just hoping that their relatives are out there somewhere, and they're begging us to talk about them, to show their pictures, hoping that if someone's seen them, that they might be able to identify them and give some information. Aaron?
Elizabeth, that was 2.5 hours ago, as we mentioned, and I know it must be extremely difficult for you, having a family back here in Atlanta, to hear these stories. But you're serving a purpose there, and you're giving them hope to get their message out. And the thing that strikes me is the number of people who stick their pictures inside the camera frame in order to see, hey, maybe there's someone watching somewhere who may recognize their loved one.
And I see so much politeness in what they're doing. I mean, everybody knows that other people are suffering too. Nobody's shoving anyone else out of the way. They all have a story to tell, but they seem to be giving each other a chance.
I can't hear anything. You can tell Miriam what you'd like me to talk about.
Okay. All right, Elizabeth, we're going to let you go there. We apologize for that, but indeed that's the human element that we're seeing throughout this. And believe me, it's just begun at this point.
Yeah.
Because these stories will continue to trickle out by the thousands at some point.
Well, we want to give our viewers another opportunity. If there is a chance that your picture has not been seen, those who have relatives still missing, we're quite concerned. CNN is trying to open up an opportunity for our viewers to be able to get those pictures out on the internet. We know that there are some internet services that have not been quite credible. This is a CNN.com service. If you can email us the picture of your missing loved one at missing@cnn.com, missing@cnn.com. That's the address to send in your picture if you have a missing person that you're looking for. And please, we do ask that people try to use this system judiciously and honestly. There's so many people who suffered so much loss. Please do not use this unless you really have a need to. Also, CNN.com, there's a link there. If you go to CNN.com, there's a link there to get your picture used on the web. And if there's any chance,
it's quite likely also, as we look at the quick vote online, we were just taking the pulse in a very unscientific fashion here at CNN.com about what Americans feel about what they're seeing and hearing and watching throughout the week. This is a question: what are your feelings about Tuesday's terrorist attacks? And you can see the options there: shock, sorrow, or anger. And clearly, nearly half are saying at this point they feel anger. And Joey, just from knowing this quick vote over the past year, typically we might have 30,000 to 40,000 votes there, but this is well over 500,000. And what we saw earlier was, initially a feeling of disillusionment on Tuesday into Wednesday, but clearly it's into anger at this point.
We'll move quickly now to the White House. John King has some late information there. John.
Well, Joey, this is a fast-developing story, and we have seen over the past several hours the many facets of this the president has to deal with. First and foremost, let's give you some breaking information about new security concerns here at the White House. Earlier this afternoon, the Secret Service, unannounced, suddenly went back out across the street, cleared Lafayette Park and the area around Pennsylvania Avenue. All vehicle traffic now moved back from the White House. And as these new security precautions were put in place, Secret Service saying this is part of an ongoing security operation. Other sources, however, though, say they were concerned about another possible threat on the White House grounds. As all that took place outside of the White House, the administration made a decision to take Vice President Dick Cheney off the White House grounds and move him to the presidential retreat at Camp David, Maryland. The president stayed here and kept working. The decision was made, though, that they did not want the president and the vice president in such close proximity at a time when they were concerned about another possible threat on the White House grounds. Now, again, the president stayed inside as all this played out. We know he has spoken to several world leaders today, also met with his national security team, and sources telling us the administration moving ahead in those discussions on two fronts. One, discussions with military planners about possible retaliatory strikes, but also this administration talking about what one senior official told us a short time ago is fundamentally different from anything the United States has ever done before responding to terrorism. All those phone calls to world leaders, part of an effort by the president and the administration to build an international coalition. They're talking about years-long effort now to choke off, in the words of one official, the safe harbor provided to terrorists and the financial support provided to terrorists. Now, as part of all this, the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, called the president of Pakistan today. Pakistan neighbors Afghanistan. Afghanistan is the home of Osama bin Laden. Mr. Powell told the president of Pakistan if he wanted to follow through on a promise of cooperation that he should close the borders with Afghanistan, that he should stop supplying fuel to the Taliban government in Afghanistan, and that he should grant permission for U.S. military warplanes, if necessary, to use Pakistani airspace. All this planning taking place, as another senior official tells us, one reason the administration has not retaliated yet is that there, quote, might have been not one but multiple organizations involved in this. So the investigation continuing, and earlier this morning in the Oval Office, the president choked up as he spoke to reporters and considered the enormity of the challenge ahead.
I think about the families, the children. I'm a loving guy, and I'm also someone, however, who's got a job to do, and I intend to do it. And this is a terrible moment, but this country will not relent until we have saved ourselves and others from the terrible tragedy that came upon America.
Now, despite the obvious renewed security concerns here at the White House, Mr. Bush still planning to leave the grounds tomorrow and travel up to New York to assess the devastation and to get a first-hand update on the relief and recovery effort. Bill, Joey.
John King for us out at the White House this evening.
Also in Washington, Judy Woodruff. Judy?
Bill, joining us now from the Capitol, the senator from the state of New York, Hillary Clinton. Senator Clinton, we've been listening to some heartbreaking stories from people looking for loved ones. Can you bring us any new information about recovery efforts there?
Well, Judy, they continue. Even as we speak, they will continue as long as it is humanly possible to hope that we can find any survivors. We had some good news today when we found some of our firefighters and another citizen. So we are far from giving up on this aspect of the search and rescue mission.
Senator, what price do you now believe New York will ultimately pay in terms of lives, its economy, its financial well-being, and so forth?
Well, Judy, it's devastating. And of course, this was not only an attack on New York, but an attack on America. And because New York is the global city and, you know, an engine of American economic growth, this is a loss that's going to be felt throughout the country and even the world, but directly at home where we've suffered the most grievous losses, there is not any inventory of any kind yet. We are going about the painstaking business, as I saw firsthand yesterday when I visited with the mayor and the governor, of trying to make sure we account for every person. The necessity to really know who may be missing is bringing people down near the site to the Armory on Lexington Avenue where they can register and give information about their loved ones. But I think we're at the beginning of what will be a very emotional time for our country, because the horror of seeing the planes crash into the towers, the unbelievable, just a moment of sheer horror in watching the buildings collapse is now going to be made even more painful, because we're going to have faces to go with those people who were just going about their daily business, doing their jobs, and we're also going to know more about the individual firefighters and police officers and Port Authority officers and emergency technicians, all of whom lost their lives. The economic costs are just beginning to be calculated. I was very grateful today when the President agreed with a request that Senator Schumer and I made for an additional $20 billion in the supplemental appropriation to deal with the overwhelming costs, principally in New York.